Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truckline. Are you ready for these
yes,
songs?
Yes, sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's
Christmas.
have fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truckline and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail. Those are your drop-off points. Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truckline. Are you ready for these
yes,
songs?
Yes, sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's
Christmas.
have fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truckline and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail. Those are your drop-off points.
Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos, he's Forrest Lee, as we start a Tuesday on Troy Cable Vision, December the 8th. And of course, it is let's see, how many days you want to count? How many shopping days? If you counted today, it'll be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That would be days.
That's New Year's Day.
That would go all the way to New Year's. Subtract that.
About 16.
17 days till Christmas.
17 days, shopping days. Is that right?
Well, I mean, some people go to like CVS and Walgreens.
Yeah. No, let's go ahead and let's call it 16 days. 16 days till shopping days till Christmas, and I hope a lot of you were able to see. I'm gonna take my mask off, but I'm not gonna keep it off all day though. Of course, when I go to the post office or the drugstore or the grocery store or anywhere outside the my own property, I am going to wear a mask and protect not only me but protect my fellow man, and that we should all look at it like that.
It's been a global pandemic, and you know, a lot of people have not gone to sporting events this year. I know you missed the Middle Tennessee State game in Murfreesboro. You missed the BYU game in Provo, Utah. You went to Texas State. That's one game you went to. You went to Eastern Kentucky. That's 2 games you went to. You went to Georgia State. That's 3 games you went to. Didn't go to Arkansas State. You did go to Georgia Southern. That's 4 Troy games you went to. Went to Middle Tennessee. That's 5 games you went to. You went to South Alabama. That's 6 games you went to. So out of the 10 Troy games in a global pandemic, coronavirus everywhere, you still have gone to 6 out of 10 Troy games.
And that's terrible, isn't it?
I would say you're a loyal fan.
Well, I don't know. Well, you make me feel bad in a way, you really do.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you're talking about wearing the mask in the studio. I'm just saying, you know, I think you're all right in the studio. You don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah. I'm wearing my leather jacket, though, because it's cold outside. It's still a little bit chilly in here, you know.
I saw where Louisiana Monroe fired their coach yesterday.
Are they going to play Troy, I wonder?
Man, I know. That does not look good. I mean,
it doesn't look good.
The team together when you fire the coach 10 days before their next game. Chip Lindsey and Brent Jones need to get on the phone to that athletic department and say, can we play on Wednesday night, Tuesday night? We only need a couple of days to play this game.
Yeah. You know, you want to say it should be an obligation to the conference. I mean, if you're going to be in this conference, you're going to play in this game, the way I look at it. You know, because that game was.
Well, they look at the number of kids they have on the roster that may have opted out, that have COVID. Are they below that number or threshold?
Yeah.
Right now, you know, Michigan went to practice, you know, yesterday. So right now that game is on between Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, that game is on. It's not a whole lot of games on.
The problem is Law Monroe has not even won a game. So do you really try to practice for 10 more days to try to, you know, win your first game of the season? Or, I mean, surely the majority of these guys will quit, I would think.
I would think so.
Of course, there's a lot of games still left, and of course, you know, this 19th, Forrest mentioned something about that this morning. On the 19th is the championship weekend. Am I correct?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
and how many other games are scheduled for that day?
Well, there's about three or four.
Several.
Yeah, you got it right there, Mike.
I don't have it, but I mean, there's a lot of makeups.
Right. I know the Ole Miss Tennessee game has been canceled for this weekend, and I had to find my notes, but I did take them.
That was Ole Miss Texas A&M.
Yeah, Ole Miss
Yeah,
Texas
that's
A&M. That's been canceled at this time.
You know, I hate it for Ole Miss because I think they could have probably given Texas A&M a pretty good game.
Yeah. Here's the schedule for December the 19th. That's not this Saturday, but the next one. A&M at Tennessee, Texas A&M at Tennessee, Vanderbilt at Georgia, Ole Miss at LSU, Missouri at Mississippi State, and Alabama will play Florida in the SEC championship game. And I believe the way I read the article this morning, if for some reason some of those games that get canceled that involves Ole Miss and Texas A&M, that they have an outside chance of playing. But I don't think they'd play past the 19th.
I told a buddy yesterday, everybody in the world is talking about Coastal Carolina. I mean, they are getting more exposure than they've ever had in their lives. I mean, they're going to have some kind of letdown against Troy. I mean, I would think they're going to struggle early on, especially in that first half. You know, Troy could build any kind of leads. You know, they would have a chance going into the second half. But, I mean, Coastal's just been so dominant. You know, I didn't realize they ran 290 yards against that BYU defensive front. Isn't that incredible?
I know it, and that's a big front too. That big old nose guard.
Troy physically could not even block UAB. Not UAB, but BYU in that game. BYU manhandled Troy like I'd never seen a team in my life. I mean, you saw the game. I mean, Troy couldn't even block one guy.
That's right.
And then Coastal runs for 280 yards on them, or 290.
Isn't their quarterback a redshirt freshman at Coastal Carolina?
Yeah.
And he's one of the lowest paid coaches in the conference, too.
You know, something
6'4", 220 pounds.
Something I remember about Coastal, I want to say it was the last game or the next last game. You know, Troy needed to win that game to go to a bowl game, and were heavily favored pretty much over Coastal Carolina. This is last year now, and Coastal Carolina ended up beating them in overtime, I want to say, and on a very disputed call. And you would have thought that they had just won the world championship. You know, this Coastal Carolina team beating Troy. I mean, they went crazy, and everybody went out on the field and all that. And then, of course, it knocked Troy out of a bowl playoff. But look at them now. What did they do overnight? How many players did they have that they redshirted that were going to be that good? You know.
I mean, their defensive front looks like an SEC defensive front. I mean, they got two defensive ends who are 6'4", about 270. They got a nose tackle that's about 6'4", about 330.
Yeah.
A lot of it was the transition in from 1AA to Division I. They got a lot of kids in school that normally wouldn't be able to get to school.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably is what helped them a lot. But, you know, I was looking at Troy. If you go back to last year, you know, they lost that game. But then they lost 50-3 at Louisiana Lafayette. And then they came back home and they played Appalachian State and got beat 48-13. That's the reason they didn't get a bowl game. They had chances. they beat Georgia Southern at home, blew them out, got 5 wins.
Yeah.
And you know that's you know, two teams are tough to beat, to say the least.
You know, doing this show, ladies and gentlemen, I can't help but think about my friends that are on hard times here as far as grief over a loved one, and I hope that they all know that we're praying for them. And you know, a lot of things have happened over the weekend, and it's really really sad when you see good friends that are affected by this virus. And our prayers and our thoughts go out to all of you. And Bubba Jenwright, you know, passed away this weekend. Howard Jenwright, longtime friend. Of course, John Beard and the Beard family. What a wonderful family. And of course, we're all thinking about you, no question about it. And please, please, please be responsible. Wear this. I was in Walmart and I counted 3 people that didn't have a mask on, and I wanted to go up to them and say, "Put your mask on. You're endangering our public," and that's exactly what they're doing. Not only.
I thought you were required to wear a mask in Alabama. Is that not correct? I don't live in Alabama.
Well, I know this, that I was in, that I counted 3 people that didn't have and there were people that were shopping that didn't have their mask on, and like I said, not only are you endangering yourself, but you're endangering your fellow man out there, and at least do something that you can make a difference with, and that is to wear your mask and wash your hands, and let's be responsible. And you know what? The people that don't have the mask on, they should have people at Walmart or the grocery stores out there and say, "Hey, you're gonna have to leave. You don't have a mask on." I think that's very.
You know, some people financially might not be able to afford masks. I don't know. You know, some people. I mean, not everybody has masks. You know, I mean, we probably have about 30.
The only negative thing about the mask to me is that it fogs up my glasses.
And you better look where you step when you've got that fog issue, because
right.
your peripheral vision throws you off.
My wife always tells me that you know, she's a stickler on all of this, and she's very conscious of it. But she does say that if you're in the car, you don't have to have your mask on. But that's in your car by yourself, you know.
Well, you slept with yours on all the way back from Mobile.
That's right, it sure did, didn't it?
I looked over there, Mike was dozing.
That's right. Did Forrest Lee drive the Ram truck?
Man, what? Let me brag about it.
All right, yeah, let's give Premier a good voice this morning.
Well, Mike had to give me lessons on how to operate the instruments.
Yeah.
But
talking about a Ram truck.
Ram truck that has a dial for reverse, neutral, and drive. And I was trying to find the gear shift. He said, "No, it's right there." But when you're riding that truck, it's like you're. I mean, I feel like I'm doing 40, and I look down, I'm doing almost 80 on the interstate. But it's so smooth,
that big number right in front
and the
of
seat just felt so comfortable, and the steering wheel's kind of nice and comfortable. But the suspension, and when you're, you know, on the interstate, if you hit your blinker and there's somebody passing you by, it'll still give you a little warning sign.
That's right. Boop, boop. And how many times have you ridden down the interstate and you're just, you know, casually, you know, watching the road and everything, and then that buzzer goes off to let you know somebody's coming around there? Because how many times have you come close to pulling in that other lane, you know, and there'd be somebody there?
Right. Though you might see them coming, you hit your blinker, it's still warning you, hey, you can't turn yet. But
it's a Hemi, and everybody wants a Hemi, and that's a Dodge Ram truck from Premier Dodge Ram Trucks, and of course Jeeps are wonderful too. And but that Hemi is got great acceleration, doesn't it?
It does. Boy, it drives so great.
I was flipping through Facebook last night, and I swear I thought I heard the Christmas parade. Troy really had a Christmas parade last night?
Yeah, we had a Christmas parade. It was live from downtown Troy last night, and it was a very good turnout. I was very surprised because it was cold and windy, and had 65 units. You know, of course, the Sound of the South wasn't in it, and it's normal because school's out. But the people that were in it and the people that were at the parade seemed to have a good time. And they didn't have a street lighting. They just went ahead and turned the lights on. And of course, Troy had a beautiful downtown. Andalusia. If you want to see some a Christmas town, go to Andalusia tonight or sometime this week, and eat supper down there at the Catfish Place or that steak restaurant down there. I might get old to go with me, Forrest, to go with me, and let's take a look at it.
When is Earl Johnson and the Chamber of Commerce going to give you the key to the city? We're Andalusia.
Let me just say this: when it comes to Christmas, Andalusia's got them all beat. They've got that. We've got a tree that's pretty, but theirs is 3, maybe 4 times larger than ours, and it's right there in the middle of the square, and it's just beautiful.
Is it a real tree in Andalusia?
No, it's artificial. It's an artificial tree, but it is beautiful, and it's got all kinds. It's a very unique tree. You know, the mayor is a good friend of mine, and he said somebody approached him. He said, you know, there's so and so's got a big tree for sale.
And a bunch of Christmas lights and
with
stuff.
a bunch of and he went and looked at it. He said, man, this look good in downtown Troy. Downtown Andalusia. I want you to hear this. He told me this not too long ago. Last year, the decorations, the big tree and the decorations on the square in downtown Andalusia, and most all the businesses have decorations on the bypass and throughout the city of Andalusia. He said over 100,000 people visited Andalusia last Christmas.
Wow.
And that don't mean they stopped and shopped or whatever, but were either they stopped and looked at the trees and drove throughout the town looking at the decorations, or just driving through, or just buying Christmas. There was over 100,000 people went through Andalusia, Alabama.
Right. Well, this Thursday.
I know Camille had friends from Mountain Brook that took rented a van.
Yeah, exactly, and drove to Andalusia.
This.
They've got little shops there, and and of course they've got a real nice steak restaurant there, and then they've got that restaurant where it's all you can eat catfish. That's my kind of restaurant.
Yeah, mine too. Hey, this Thursday night I'll be co-hosting the Louverne Christmas Parade. It's going to be this Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and Miss Sharitha Carter will be my co-host. And I've talked with Donnie Nix and Miss Catherine Tomlin and Miss Carol Staller. But this Thursday night at 6 o'clock, the TV2 Troy Cable will be in Louverne, Alabama for the Christmas Parade for Louverne and Crenshaw County. Looking forward to doing that. It'll be my first one ever. But I may have to go on down the road and get some chicken.
We were talking earlier about some of these games. I think LSU's going to play Florida a little bit tougher than people think. LSU moved the ball pretty well against Alabama.
Well, I thought the left-handed quarterback did a good job.
Florida's defense
The Johnson
is great,
kid.
but LSU needs to decide on the quarterback. I think Brad Johnson's kid is the better of the two. I think
I did too.
Definitely runs the offense, knows the system better than the guy they got in there now. That TJ Finley guy looks like he's still struggling to learn the playbook.
Well, let me just say this: Brother Brown is fit to get whipped again, and whipped big.
Who do they play?
Oklahoma.
Brother Brown at
West Virginia.
West Virginia is fit to get kicked on 11 o'clock kickoff against Oklahoma. What do you think? 3, 4 touchdowns. Oklahoma will beat them by at least, maybe 5.
I'm always going to be a Neil Brown fan for what he did at Troy. I mean, the guy needs a statue outside the stadium. He won 10, 11, and 10, something that had never happened when we were Division I. Most games Larry ever won, we love Coach Blaney, but the most he ever won in the season was 9. So, I mean...
Well, what I'm saying is his West Virginia team is not ready yet. His West Virginia team is not ready yet to even threaten.
I mean, the problem is offense with West Virginia. It's not their defense. You know, they lose Big Tony, who was one of the best defense coordinators in the country before the season because of some issues off the field. And
they had 40 points scored on them this past weekend, Mike. Where was the defense?
That's really the only letdown the defense has had. Look at Troy. Troy defensively, the only letdown they had where they gave up a ton of points this year was Appalachian State. Other than that, Brandon Hall's done a great job as Troy's defense this year.
Yeah.
But Neal is the play caller, and he has not had a great offense his first 2 years there. I don't understand it. I don't know if he can't get the athletes. And you got to score points to win the Big 12. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, it might be hard to say, hey, come to West Virginia and be a part of our program. Come to West Virginia.
Well, the Army-Navy game is this weekend, and it will be held at West Point at their stadium. That's the first time since 1943 it'll be on their campus.
Yeah.
They will allow the soldiers from both schools to equally share the stadium, and so it won't be all just Army. It'll be both equally Navy and Army, and there'll be a limited number, but it's just the soldiers will be in the stadium during that game.
Of course, huge news in the NFL last night. The Redskins beat the undefeated Steelers. Steelers were 11-0, so the Redskins had a huge upset win last night. Cam Sims, the guy that played at Alabama, that was pretty much a backup wide receiver, has made the team the last couple of years and had almost 100 yards receiving. So congratulations to Cam Sims, former Alabama player.
You know, Alabama used to be tailback U, used to be quarterback U. Now they're wide receiver U. Is that right?
But, I mean, Alex Smith pretty much almost had his leg amputated. I mean, one of the more amazing stories, he's leading Washington to possibly the playoffs. So you got to be happy to see what you're watching. Of course, they also had 3 former Alabama players on defense. They had Sean Dion Hamilton out of Carver. They had Payne, the great defensive tackle, and they had Jonathan Allen.
You know, we did a story earlier in the year about the Alabama players in the pros. It's amazing how many more players are in the pros at Alabama than any other team.
Yes.
Something like 20 or 30 or more somehow.
Well, yeah, they also have Ryan Anderson, the defensive end plays for the Redskins too. So they've got like 5 or 6 guys. Landon Collins was playing, but he blew out his knee, so he's out for the year. But
have they named?
And of course, the Bills won last night, big over San Francisco as well.
Have they named a mascot yet for Washington, or they just call them the Washington team?
That's a Washington team right now.
Washington team, yeah.
And the uniforms are terrible. You know, I used to love the Redskins uniforms, and they're terrible. Let me tell you something, Mike, and we're going to get back on these teams in a minute. But I'm going to ask Forrest if he agrees with what I'm saying. Troy looked great on the field. You could tell before the game that Troy was ready to play. I mean, and they got out there early, and they stayed out there a lot longer than South Alabama. South Alabama went on in. But the white on white with those beautiful, I'm talking about beautiful glowing helmets, red helmets, they looked as good as any Troy team I have seen. And that's, I know that sounds funny that I can make an issue over how a team looked. They looked like a good team before the game even started.
And Mike, your dad's word, Michael, your dad's words were they look crisp.
Exactly.
You know, if you look good and you think you look good, you're gonna play better.
Mike,
I feel like.
And I turned to Forrest and I said, God, I said that quarterback looks big time, and he looked like a quarterback. I mean the size, he was big, he was strong, he could whip that ball. I mean he had a great. The ball was released and it just exploded it. You know, it was really evident that Troy was going to win that football game for some crazy reason. And when they came out, man, they just owned them. I mean, they owned them. And what I said before.
I mean, other than that trick play that I guess Johnson shouldn't have probably thrown the receiver pass for an interception, Troy was flawless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing about them is they hit you. Man, South Alabama had to be glad to get out of that game because Troy really hit you.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see
who they... receiver, that great receiver that was so good for them, and he is good. boy, I believe he was almost scared to catch the ball because of the way Troy was hitting.
You know, I saw a new list of the possible candidates at South Alabama, and we mentioned Kane Womack, the defense coordinator, yesterday from Indiana. We mentioned T. Martin, but a new name on the list was Jim McElwain, who's the head coach at Central Michigan. And of course,
Mike, you know a little bit about that. What do you think about McElwain?
Well, I mean, he's won at all the smaller places. He's been pretty well at Colorado State. Now he's at Central Michigan. He took him to the championship game last year. I mean, he took Florida to the championship as well. It kind of ended badly there. He accused the fans of receiving death threats, him and his wife at his home, and there was no way to ever verify what he said. So kind of ended weird at Florida. But he's a good coach. I don't think he's a good fit for South Alabama.
Yeah.
No.
You know, a guy that has won everywhere he's been. And of course, everybody dogs him a lot, but won at Cincinnati, won at Central Michigan, won at Tennessee until the last year. Bush Jones is sitting up there in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be the worst hire in the world.
Now, where was he head coach before? Cincinnati was one of them, wasn't it?
I mean, he had great teams at Cincinnati, great teams at Central Michigan. He was the coach at Tennessee, and his really only bad year was that last year. I mean,
Another thing, he's been around Saban for 3 years. He's bound to learn something from Saban, don't you think?
yeah, I mean, I don't know what South Alabama does, but man, that's a program waiting to explode, in my opinion. I think that's a program that recruiting alone.
But Mike,
good.
and Forrest and I said this the same thing. They do not have a good fan base, evidently. Mike, there was hardly anybody there an hour and a half before the game. I'm talking about they might have been afraid of the virus and all that, and didn't want to get there early. But there was hardly anybody at that game, against a rival team, and in a situation where the coach had to win and had a chance, to maybe go to a bowl game if they won the game. But
well, they opened the gates at 11:30.
Yeah.
And we were waiting there at the gate, and we were by ourselves
we were the
at the
first
main
people
gate.
in that stadium.
At the main gate, and we parked, not far from the stadium, and we were the only one in that particular parking lot, and got a ride on a golf cart.
Now let me tell you this: it was the longest walk.
They only allow 7,000 people a game. They've been very strict about that all season.
There might have been 2,500 people there.
And let me
Maybe.
tell you this: it was the worst situation in the world where a guy that can hardly walk like me, I would have had to walk a mile to the stadium. Isn't that right?
Well, they provided us a service there.
Yeah, well, we were very lucky
Yeah.
to get us a golf cart to take us to and from the stadium. But the general public, I mean, it was a beautiful little stadium, and I say it's still a little stadium, but beautiful layout and everything. But it was not accessible. I mean, did you see?
Right.
Did you think that?
Yeah, and there was some good parking near the stadium, but you had to be a booster
Yeah, that's
or
right,
had to
yeah.
pay for that spot. But we even asked for handicap parking near the stadium, and we were sent to a church up the hill, and then
Yeah.
they said that they would provide a service to us, a bus service or a shuttle. I said, do we have to be in an enclosed bus? They said, no, a golf cart will pick you up. So this nice lady picked us up in a golf cart, just the two of us, and we went down to the stadium, and sure enough, we came out of the stadium. There she was waiting on us.
That's right. I
And,
mean, but it was. I tell you what, everybody says it early in the week that the Las Vegas must know something. I was very surprised that Troy was a 5-point favorite after getting beat like they had been beaten the last 3 games. And sure enough, Troy was a 5-point favorite. And those people from South Alabama, you could tell they did not expect to win the ball game, so they didn't come,
I guess not.
The attendance was...
Yeah, I had the final score 49-42 in overtime. The shootout. I was totally wrong. Forrest Lee had South Alabama 35-20. Forrest Lee, do you want to apologize to the Troy football team?
Well,
I know.
I'm actually part Jaguar. I graduated from South Alabama. I was just doing the odds. I was, did anybody pick Troy?
I did.
I picked Troy. I picked Troy in overtime.
I apologize.
But
Who
was
you
not
gonna pick
sure
this
myself,
Saturday?
You know.
I kept on us just like if Vegas is kind of my 5. I went by Vegas really. I thought Troy was probably gonna get beat, but with that line starting at 1.5 and going to 5, and maybe you feel like everybody was taking Troy.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, that I really hit Troy pretty hard last week because I didn't think they were physical enough to win. But maybe it was because South Alabama was not physical was the reason Troy was so physical. But the Troy team I saw Saturday was much more physical, and you know what I'm saying, they'd hit you in the mouth, and they were that Marshall number 2. He was all over the field. I think he made 14 individual tackles. That's a lot of individual tackles.
It is. Yeah, I do want to say this again. Jared Wilson, who's a graduate of Charles Citizen High School, he plays at the University of South Alabama. He wears number 21. He had 8 carries for about 32, 36 yards, and he was impressive to me because he was in the middle of, he ran between tackle and tackle.
He was tough, yeah.
And so it'd be nice if we could get him during the Christmas holidays, on your show, Mike. He's
It's interesting. I've been reading some articles. We hadn't mentioned this name for South Alabama, but he apparently interviewed for Southern Miss, and some people said he had a great interview and maybe finished second for the job. And now he's trying to get the Vanderbilt job. It's Scott Cochran, the former Alabama strength coach. Is now
oh God, you're not serious.
That's true. I read it on.
No, that is true. That,
oh gosh.
Wanting a head job, and apparently he had a tremendous interview with Jeremy McClain at Southern Miss.
Scott Carpet. Man, that guy's. Yeah. I know it. He's about half loony, I think. But I probably shouldn't say that. But the way they do things, he's the guy that came up with this right here. He's the guy that came up with here. Where did he claim that he could be a head football coach at a big school? Maybe Huntington or maybe Millsap's. Let him get the Millsap job and see how he does there first.
You don't think he can recruit though? That guy's personality is pretty incredible. I've heard him speak several times.
Yeah. I've heard him speak too, but does that make I think he's barking up the wrong tree. But somebody might say look at it like you that rah will win games. Will rah win games? No.
I read like you mentioned.
Shane Beamer was talking yesterday during his press conference. Of course, his dad's legendary Frank Beamer, and he made a pretty adamant statement that my dad's going to be a huge part of this program. He's going to be around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine athletic directors probably like to hear that kind of stuff. Have a guy that won 280 games.
Yeah.
Be a part of helping out as much as he can.
Well, I read Mike earlier before we started today. He is employed at Virginia Tech as a advisor to the athletic program at Virginia Tech. So that may change. I'm certainly, if it was my son starting off, I'd want to be with him, and that'd be a boost for that area of South Carolina. I think looking and listening to his interview a little bit, I think that's a pretty good choice.
Mike, it says here, Gus Malzahn made the wrong kind of waves after Auburn's 31-20 loss to Texas A&M on Saturday when he said a 6-4 record would be a solid year. Can you see that coach at Alabama saying a 6-4 record would be a solid year?
And he almost lost, what, 2 more?
He made everybody mad because basically he was saying if we would have had a regular season, we would have gone 8-4 or 9-3 because we'd played a lot of non-conference teams.
Yeah. So. The embattled 8-year coach clarified that comment Sunday evening. I just wanted to make sure that it's very clear. Our expectation is to win championships here at Auburn. It's been that way since I've been here. We're not happy with a 6-win season. Malzahn, he just disputed himself. But under the circumstances of being an inexperienced team, having a couple injuries and having a non-conference schedule, having a non-conference schedule, which is in the past has been very good non-conference. So, like you said, give them 2 more at least 2 more non-conference wins, and you're 8-4 instead of 6-4. If they win this weekend, let me tell you, Mississippi State's going to play them tough this weekend. You watch.
Well, didn't they almost lose 2 games? The Arkansas game, wasn't that like controversial?
The Arkansas game, that should have been a loss. I mean, he threw the ball backwards.
And there was another one that was like right there at the end they won.
Oh, I mean, the whole Ole Miss game was horrible. I mean, the guy, obviously, Schaubers touched the ball when he was catching kickoff. And
that was it.
Hit his finger and started chasing after in the end zone. And, Ole Miss recovered it for a touchdown and would have gone up 8 with about 5 minutes to go. So, I mean, yeah, they caught two huge breaks.
But, at the same time, and there's some diehard Auburn fans sitting back and saying, man, I don't know if I can be for that. Because can you see Auburn wanting to be 8-4? Is that going to be make Auburn fans happy, 8-4?
He loses over 4 games every year, though. This is common play. This has happened several times.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason he has a job, let's just be honest, he beat Saban 3 times.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Nobody could beat Saban. I mean, that's the thing. He's actually beating 3 times.
Yeah, you're right. And
I mean, you could say 4 because, I mean, he was pretty much the coach, when they won the national championship, in my opinion. I mean, Chiswick was the head coach, but he was the offense coordinator. So he was the one that was coordinator when they won in Tuscaloosa when they got down 24-0. I'll never forget that game the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, no question about it.
How about this? Coastal Carolina in the AP poll is ranked 11th, and then in the coaches poll they're ranked 13th. So this is by far going to be the highest ranked team ever to play in Movie Gallery, Memorial, the Bets, whatever they call Troy Stadium. I always like Movie Gallery Stadium, but that's no more.
The Vet, they call it the Vet.
Is that a 3 o'clock kick or 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock kick. So you can watch Alabama at 11, and then you can watch Troy at 2.
And that's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I'm hoping there'll be more. Well, I'm not hoping there'll be more cancellations, but the more cancellations that happen, the better chance that's going to be on a major ESPN, hopefully.
Right. I wonder how many fans we'll have, Mike. You reckon we'll have a good crowd?
I think, they were already talking about just 300 tickets left at $30 a ticket. So they're asking a lot more for a ticket.
You got to think Coastal fans will travel. I mean,
I think so too.
Season, the best team in history. I mean, you got to think they're going to bring 500 to 1,000 people.
Troy has been one of the only teams you can just call it. You can count them by on your hands. The teams that have been able to play 12 games, and of course Troy season is not over. They've got to play Coastal this weekend, and then on Thursday. Is that Thursday? How many days is that after? What that'd be the 17th. So if they play again on the 17th, they would have played 12 games. And AD Brent Jones has done a super job to put Troy in a situation where they could play 6 home games and play 12-game season, something that very few teams have been able to do.
I think the weather's supposed to be good.
Now, now you say that, but I see WSFA weather before I left home today, and it says rain for Saturday.
Isn't it about a 35% chance?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know about the percentage, but it said, look it up, Mike, what kind of weather Troy's got Saturday.
Yeah, you look at the conference standings. Texas State played 12 games. They finished 2-10. La Monroe is 0-10. Arkansas State 4-7. South Alabama's 4-7. Their season's over. Lafayette will play, I guess, this weekend. They're 9-1. So they played 10 games. Troy's played 10 games. They're 5-5. Georgia Southern's played 11 games. They're 7-4. App State 7-3. They'll play this weekend. Coastal Carolina will play this weekend. They're 10-0. So there's a few other teams in the Sun Belt that have played 12 games.
Well, something else that I'm very concerned about, and of course my dear friend Johnny Williams has a say on 3 of these bowl games, but it's going to come down to how many conference games you've won on whether or not you can go to a bowl game. This could come down, Troy might be cutting it pretty short here.
Well, you know, even if they lose to Coastal and they beat Long Monroe, they'd be 6-6, 4-4 in the Sun Belt. So, I mean, you would hope that would be enough to get them in.
Yeah. But, though, again, because of all these bowl games that are canceling out.
Do you want to know who's bowl eligible?
Yeah, tell me. And tell me how many bowl games does Troy have a chance to play in?
Plus, we're losing bowls.
I mean, Coastal Carolina's 10-0. They're bowl eligible. App State's 7-3. Georgia Southern's 7-4. Georgia State's only 5-4, but they've had a lot of games canceled. They'll probably get to 6 wins. Lafayette's 9-1, and then the rest of the West is awful. No other teams won over 4 games. So right now, bowl eligible, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And then if
that will probably be. I mean, I'm assuming Georgia State will get the 6 wins, and I think Troy will get the 6 wins if they play Monroe.
Yeah, but if Monroe decides not to play, what happens? Does Troy get a forfeit? That's the only way they could get in.
Because that would be 2 COVID issues.
Yeah, but if it's not a COVID issue, they should play the game. Is that right?
I mean, you would think so. I mean, that's part of being in a conference. You got to try to, play every game that you're scheduled to play. This is a makeup from all the way back in, September 1st?
That's right.
Wow.
That's exactly right. They will play the first game of the season now. They are hoping that they'll play the last game. Bowl games that are out there, of course,
I mean, in conference, you got the Deer Bowl out of Orlando. You got the GoDaddy or whatever the Mobile Bowl is this year. They changed names, Dollar General one year.
And it still go. It still go.
New Orleans Bowl is the greatest bowl you can go to by far. I've made that trip many times. And then you got the Camellia Bowl in Montgomery, and now you got the Montgomery Bowl on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So
But that by the way, yeah.
They can take whoever they want to take, though. I mean, they can take Ole Miss.
Yeah. Did it say anything about on the Montgomery Bowl? Will it be played at night or day?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
And maybe we can call Johnny Williams this week and find out more about that, because they've got to be making selections. The thing that really shows me where we are at is the Army-Navy game. You always remember that the Army-Navy game was played on a weekend where no other game was played. And now you've got 25 teams playing a game on that day. You know what I mean? Right.
And it just draws me again to the Rose Bowl. It's one of the semifinal national championship sites of, the other one's New Orleans. Well, I feel like within the week, it would surprise me if they change the venue site, because they will allow no fans at the Rose Bowl. No parents, nobody except the players and the coaches, and that's it.
Oh boy, yeah.
And
I hope that changes. We're going to take a short break. It is right at the 7:40 mark. We'll be right back. Good morning. Good.
Of the year.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truckline. Are you ready for these
Yes,
toys?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls, hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
You got another caller.
And the Camellia Bowl will be at 1:30 p.m. on Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we had that backwards.
All right, well, let's find out about it. All right, we'll be right back. All right,
No.
come on. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there are some cars left on the lot at Premier, but they're going fast. And talked to Jason recently, and of course the car market here in Troy, when it comes to Premier, they're doing very, very well. And of course, remember, nobody beats the Premier deal, nobody. Okay, there's a little question mark here about when the new bowl game in Montgomery, the Montgomery Bowl, the date and the time for that game. Do you know?
It says the Montgomery Bowl according now to ESPN, so this has definitely been confirmed. Montgomery Bowl will be on, it looks like December 23rd at Crampton Bowl at 6 p.m. It's going to be on ESPN or ESPN2. Right now, one of the projections is Louisiana Tech versus Georgia State. And then the other projection, which I don't know will be a good matchup for Troy, but Troy's one of the teams slated for this game, Liberty versus Troy.
Whoa! Yeah! Who shot Liberty Valiant? He was the bravest of them all.
That's on ESPN right now as far as bowl projections. If you want to go look at
What bowl is that, Mike?
That's the Montgomery Bowl. That's after week 14. That's the projection is for Troy to play Liberty in Montgomery.
I think Jimmy Stewart thought he shot Liberty Valance, but it was actually John Wayne.
Yeah, all right, Mike. All right, let's go back to that. You mean they've got Troy written down for that?
Yeah, it's on ESPN. If anybody wants to go to ESPN.com,
Wow.
you can read it right now.
All right, so they got Troy sort of penciled in to play Liberty.
Well, I mean, this is what their experts are saying. So, I mean, who knows if they're going to be right or wrong.
All right, now that game will be played on Christmas Day then, is that right?
No, that's why I was saying that we had a mix-up. The Montgomery Bowl is on the 23rd. Camellia Bowl is on Christmas Day now.
All right, so the Montgomery Bowl has Liberty and Troy written down?
That's what they have right now.
All right, let me put you on hold. Be right back. Good morning, you're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, Will Matthews.
Will Matthews calling in from Ozark, Alabama this morning, or are you still in Dothan?
I'm in between.
In between, of course. Tell us what's going on. Let's bring Mike Amos in behind you. Hold on a second. Okay, maybe not. Let's see here. There we go. We got both of you now. Mike Amos calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's the weather down there, Mike? Is it cold and windy?
Yeah, it's about 38 degrees and windy. Sun's out though. It's real pretty.
Forrest, what was the low this morning in Troy? Do you know?
Cold.
29.
I don't know.
My dad was 29 and
I had
windy.
frost on the truck.
Yeah, and of course it was frost everywhere around where I was, and of course, Will Matthews.
The Camellia Bowl projection, not the Montgomery Bowl, the Camellia Bowl. They've got Buffalo playing Coastal Carolina, and then they have Ball State playing Georgia State.
Now Buffalo has got a real good team too, don't they?
They got a really good running back. He rushed for 400 yards over there.
Yeah, that's right. But now, wouldn't you think that Coastal, if they beat Troy and went on out, that they would get a bigger bowl?
Well, I mean, they got Coastal in a bunch of different bowl options. See, these are just, basically guessing right now on where they think teams are going to go.
Yeah. Forest Lee.
They got Coastal playing in the New Orleans Bowl, possibly. They got Coastal playing in the Mobile Bowl right now as well.
Yeah. But if let me just say this: just if I'm Troy, just throw me a bone. You know what I mean? If we win 6, just throw me a bone. A bowl is a bowl, and if you'll think about it, that's the reward that everybody out there gets, except for 4 teams, and that's the 4 championship teams that are playing for the national championship. Other than that, everybody else is fighting hard to be bowl eligible.
Right.
I tell you what, Johnny Williams like. He'd like to find a way to get UAB and Troy in a bowl matchup.
Wouldn't that be something? But hear this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been over a month since UAB's played a football game. They've been hit harder by the virus, Mike, than I think anybody.
They played 7 games.
What's the deal there?
Hey, Will, who's going to win the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game?
They might not even play it, but they're talking about playing it the day of the championship game.
Right.
Well, right now, I think we counted four different games that day, on championship day. So, they're going to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, they're going to play several games, and the championship game is going to be prime time for the first time since they've been having it, really. They've always had it like at 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they're going to have it prime time on CBS, so that should be pretty interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what else is going?
They're predicting right now Auburn to play. This wouldn't be a great game for Auburn, but they're penciling Auburn possibly into playing in Fort Worth in a bowl game against Washington.
How many games are those guys out west going to end up playing, Mike?
I don't know. 7, 6.
You know who they say's got the best team out there is Colorado. When is the last time you heard that Colorado was a top team?
They'll play Friday night. They're at home, and they're 4-0. I think they're only a 2-point favorite against Utah, so that'll tell you something.
Right now, Washington has played 4 games.
Just 4 games.
Right now, they're 3-1.
So how in the world do you think they could win enough games to go to a bowl?
They're going to play point 6, but they have the home field advantage because it's called Rocky Mountain High. Everybody's so high in that stadium that it affects the other teams when they come in there.
Which stadium is that?
Colorado.
Oh,
marijuana.
Oh, really? They sell. You mean they sell marijuana in the concession stand? Is that right?
I tell you what, they probably sell it right outside the stadium.
Auburn is playing at Mississippi State. Look out here, Mike. Look out here. Mississippi.
Well, what do you think about that game?
I think Mississippi State's going to beat them.
I think they are too.
Mississippi State has played 2 real good ball games in a row, and they played Georgia in Athens real well.
Forrest and I have been talking about it the last 2 or 3 days, is physical up front. They're pretty good up front if you'll look at it, and Auburn needs to run the football, and they might not can against Mississippi State.
Leach is going to get rid of all the riffraff over there. It'll take him a couple of years, but he's going to have a team over there before it's over with.
Yeah, their theme song is "Hit the Road, Jack."
And I'll tell you another one I love.
If Malzahn lost, and Auburn fired Malzahn, it would be a good candidate for the Auburn job. I can't even think of anybody.
Well, the buyout's over $20 million.
Who was trying to go get?
Perfect fit.
Breeze, yeah.
He'd be perfect in Auburn.
He's very similar to Malzahn, though. Do you want a Malzahn type Alabama, best of friends.
While we're talking, Will, the other big upset I've got is Missouri will beat Georgia. I'm going to take Missouri over Georgia. They're going to play at Missouri. Can you believe Georgia is a 12-point favorite over Missouri?
No, Missouri is not. Yeah, Missouri is no good.
Well, I don't know why you say that.
They are 5-3, Will. They're pretty good.
They sure are.
Look who they beat.
Well, look who everybody else is beating.
I know, but I mean,
Missouri beat.
Well, I don't have the schedule. Look up the schedule. Let's see.
I got it.
I felt like when they played Alabama that they were a very physical football team.
Alabama cleaned them. I mean, that was no.
Oh yeah, they beat them, but now.
All right, here we go. They beat LSU 45-41. They beat Kentucky 20-10. They beat South Carolina 17-10. They beat Vanderbilt 41-0, and they edged Arkansas 50-48. So.
Well, what I'm saying is, I just believe that maybe the Georgia quarterback back, maybe they'll get better quarterback help. But if they don't get better quarterback help, I can see Missouri winning the game.
Missouri could score.
I think Georgia will
for
win.
sure.
Georgia will win. It'll be a low-scoring, ugly game, but Georgia will win.
Okay. All right, that's just one of my predictions.
I would say that if you look at that makes you think the SEC is pretty down this year, other than the the great teams like Alabama and Florida, and then you got to put A&M there, I guess. But other than that, Georgia's pretty much down this year too.
Well, the way this thing is panning out now is, it just. We're saying that if Alabama win or lose against Florida, which I don't think they'll lose, but win or lose against Florida will be in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
And Clemson will. If Clemson loses, they won't be in the playoffs. But if they win, they'll be in the playoffs. So they've got to win over the Notre Dame Clemson game is going to decide which one of those four. But that puts Notre Dame though with just one loss. What do you do with Notre Dame in that situation?
Notre Dame's in the playoffs.
Regardless?
Alabama beats Florida, yes. If Alabama beats Florida, Notre Dame's in the playoffs, and then Ohio State will be in the playoffs.
And Clemson.
All right, and Ohio State being playoff.
The Big 12's been out early. They've had all their teams lose over 2 games. Iowa State lost 2 games. Oklahoma lost 2 games. Pac-12 just gets no respect.
Yep. A&M's not going to be in it.
I mean, even though USC looks like they possibly will go undefeated, I don't think they'll put USC in.
Yeah, I don't either.
They played 4 games.
Clemson,
They're like 18th.
yeah.
USC. They're like.
I mean, really, you'd have an issue more than anything. You'd have an issue with A&M
Yeah.
if they went out, and then you'd have an issue with an undefeated Cincinnati.
Yeah. This is not going to be this Notre Dame situation. Notre Dame needs to beat Clemson, but if Clemson wins that game, do you really let Notre Dame have go in with 1 loss?
Yeah, they'll go in.
All right,
It's called
so
Notre
then
Dame.
you got a chance to see Notre Dame and Clemson play for the 3rd time this year. You're not going to do that, Will?
Well, they won't play because.
Play Alabama.
Right. And,
All right, well, is that the reason though?
Alabama will beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, would that be something if a team played a team 3 times?
It could happen. I mean, we played Georgia twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to have to schedule. I mean, you don't want to have to play Trevor Lawrence in the in the first playoffs. I mean, you want to play him in the championship game.
You know what?
I don't know. I mean, Alabama, I think, will beat Notre Dame, and I think they'll beat Ohio State. But really, the team that bothers me more is Clemson because Lawrence is just such a great quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he'll pick Alabama secondary apart.
Well.
If Clemson wins, they will go. All right, they'll either be 2 or 3, which means Alabama will play Notre Dame. Notre Dame will drop down to 4.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Alabama, Notre Dame, and then Clemson and Ohio State are destined to play again. And who knows?
I mean, if Ohio State wins 7 games, though, can you really put them at number 2 ahead of Clemson?
Mike, Michael, if you go ask one of these odds makers in Las Vegas, Ohio State matches up better to any team except Alabama. And Alabama's only a 4 or 5 point favorite over Ohio State. They're 10, 15 points over everybody else.
You know who's got the easy ride here is Ohio State. They've got an easy ride.
Well, they're going to beat Michigan to death.
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
Yeah, they don't play anybody.
I know what I'm saying. They got an easy ride.
I mean, the best team is Indiana.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Northwestern just got beat by Michigan State.
Yeah, Indiana gave Ohio State a pretty good game.
Who would Ohio State play in the conference championship game? Who would they play?
They play Northwestern.
Northwestern. No way Northwestern can beat them. I know it. So put.
I mean, the Big Ten schedule is just a joke.
And then another thing, what do you do? And of course, these are ifs and buts. We're candy and nuts. It'd be Christmas every day. But hey, what if Florida beats Alabama? What you gonna do with Florida? What are you gonna do with Florida?
Florida's in it, yeah.
Whoa, now. You know what? Oh, me.
Alabama goes to 4.
Alabama goes to 4, and then what are they going to do with Notre Dame if Notre Dame beats Clemson?
They're out. Oh, Notre Dame beats Clemson. Notre Dame's in.
And Clemson's out.
All right, so, yeah. It's going to be fun to watch it. And, you know, I tell you who the NCAA, and I hate to say this, but the team that the NCAA wants to see get beat this weekend is Cincinnati. They want to get Cincinnati out of there.
Mike, Cincinnati's got no chance to get in. There's no scenario gets.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
They're out to lunch.
Well, you think they're going to move that?
Especially A&M only with 1 loss is the issue.
Yeah. I mean, Cincinnati's not going to get in there.
Yeah.
Well, you think they'll still have that playoff game at the Rose Bowl? Are they going to change this venue?
I think they're going to change it. I'm pretty sure they're going to change it.
Well, they had to play the 49ers couldn't even play in San Francisco last night.
Yeah.
They made them play in Arizona.
Whoa, me, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's a beautiful stadium. I've been there.
They had to play the Buffalo Bills in Glendale, Arizona.
And Buffalo beat them too, didn't they?
Yeah, 34-24.
You know, that Buffalo's got a pretty good team.
That quarterback's great quarterback. He's, you know, the kid from Wyoming, Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
For 385 yards. And, you know, he's a guy that I think he only started, 2 years in college. But, you know, Brian Daboll, who's the offense coordinator for Alabama, when they won the national championship game when Devontae Smith made the miracle catch from Tua, he was Alabama's offense coordinator. He's the offense coordinator for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Will, something I think that you would concur with as much as me. One of my favorite entertainers, and I call him entertainer because he did a lot of, when he was in Dothan, he used to have a show and so forth. But my old fishing buddy died this past weekend, and he was considered COVID-19.
Yeah, he died Friday.
Red Holland.
Red Holland, boy, was Red Holland. Did you love to listen to Red Holland?
Red was a client of mine and a friend of mine. I did legal work for him for years.
Well, what happened there, of course?
He moved down to the beach about 15, 20 years ago.
And he had a furniture store, or at least he represented the furniture store on TV down there. But he was
He had a dry goods store too. I mean,
Yeah.
He lived in Webb, where I was a judge, and he was a good guy, really was.
Oh yeah, and a great entertainer, I thought.
Didn't he used to come up and do stuff on Troy Cable?
Yeah, he might have done some stuff, but to go fishing with him, you know, I used to like that 30-minute show that they did, you know.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to throw that out, and of course, you know, this virus is continuing to reap havoc on our friends and neighbors. So please wear your mask wherever you go.
Mike Red had 2 son-in-laws killed in motorcycle accidents.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, I know, you know, he had a tremendous voice, and I sure hated to hear that he's passed away.
Yeah,
And
good guy.
You know, Cincinnati's going to have to play Tulsa twice. They'll be at Tulsa this weekend. Tulsa's really good. Beat Central Florida. It's got a really good team this year. And then they'll also have to turn around the next week and play Tulsa in the championship game.
yeah,
So they're going to play Tulsa twice
yeah.
in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rice for some reason has come out of nowhere with a pretty good team. Now they've dropped from 9-point underdog to 7.5-point underdog against UAB. Are they going to be able to play that game?
Let's hope UAB can play another game.
Yeah.
Rice has played 4 games.
And you know how many games has UAB played?
7.
So UAB might have played enough games, don't you think? What is their record?
4-3.
Yeah, I understand that'd be 5-3.
Yeah. We want to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. This show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy. Believe you me, Premier will beat anybody's deal. I'm talking about anybody's.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
toys?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls, hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Chuck, ladies and gentlemen, just received news that Chuck Yeager, the astronaut, or was he an astronaut? He won all kinds of speed records and all that. But Chuck Yeager, very well-known man in the racing industry. Will Matthews is our guest, ladies and gentlemen. Will, I've got another game that jumps all over me here. Michael, you need to hear this. Appalachian State is playing at Georgia Southern, and they're 9.5-point favorite. Georgia Southern's playing real well right now. I'm gonna say Georgia Southern's gonna beat App State.
Well, I mean, App State lost 2 straight heartbreaking games at home, Coastal Carolina, and then Louisiana Lafayette. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they came out flat.
And the other game that I just saw, North Carolina goes to Miami. Now, you're talking about a high-scoring game. The over-under is 66.5. I wouldn't doubt if you didn't have 100 points scored in this game.
Yeah, I think Mike will beat them to death.
Do you think so?
Yeah, North Carolina played Notre Dame pretty tough in that first half, and of course Notre Dame won by 14. But they're a really weird team, North Carolina. They went to Florida State and actually got beat this year. How did that happen?
Oh, no, you're right. But they can score a lot. I'm just saying over-under, they can score a bunch of points.
He actually got a pro game tonight, because all this COVID stuff going on. You had 2 games yesterday, got 1 tonight. You got Baltimore hosting 5-point favorite. That game will be on Fox tonight.
Yeah, one of our favorite players who plays for the Indianapolis team. He's your supper guy, Mike. You went to supper with him not long ago.
This is Dallas and Baltimore. That's not Indianapolis.
Yeah.
The Ravens.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got Andy Dalton is now the quarterback for Dallas, and then Lamar Jackson had COVID issues. I don't know if he'll play or not. Mark Amos had COVID issues. So it's gonna be an interesting game tonight. Who plays?
Well, of course, Florida State. There's still a lot of Florida State fans in this part of the country. Man, they've had a disastrous year, don't you think?
They need to start over down there.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to get a quality quarterback, which is hard to believe in the state of Florida. They've had really horrible quarterback play for about 4 or 5 years.
Exactly right. Want to mention also Troy's line has dropped. Coastal Carolina came out 13.5-point favorite, but it's dropped a whole point, Will, and that tells you a little bit. 12.5 points now is Coastal Carolina's favorite. Las Vegas, evidently they're getting some calls on Troy here. So Troy is definitely very confident after the way they played South Alabama, but I think in the conference you've got Coastal Carolina, you've got Louisiana Lafayette, and you've got let's see, Coastal Carolina and Louisiana Lafayette, and what's our other team? Louisiana. Louisiana. Well, it's Louisiana. It's Louisiana. Those are the 3 premium teams in the Sun Belt. Wouldn't you say? You got App State, you got Louisiana Lafayette, and you've got Coastal Carolina. Those are the 3 top teams in the conference. So it might be a big difference between those 2 teams, but Troy is playing with a lot of confidence. This will be a good game to see. That's a 2:00 kickoff from Veterans Stadium right here in Troy, and I think you can buy your tickets at the ticket office for $30 for a seat anywhere pretty much in the stadium. And
tickets are they gonna sell, Mike?
I don't know. They put out 300, but I think that they might, like you said, Louisiana Coastal Carolina is going to bring a lot of players. a lot of people to this game. So
Coastal Carolina will probably bring 1,000 fans.
See, so they could open up the entire east stands to Coastal if they wanted to. Don't you think?
I don't know. I think the Sun Belt has guidelines on how many tickets. I know South Alabama can only allow 7,000 fans per game, and I don't think Troy's been over 10,000 all year.
Yeah.
So there's probably some kind of guideline.
I would think at least 10,000. Troy would allow 10,000 because they got that whole east stands over there if they wanted them, and then they could put all Troy's tickets on the west stands if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's gonna work.
I'm trying to figure out what Alabama's going to do against Arkansas, and then what Florida's going to do against LSU. I mean, you get any kind of lead, I would think you're going to have to pull your starters. I mean, you just can't risk injury going into the SEC championship game. So, with Arkansas having Felipe Franks at quarterback, if he's back, even though the backup's threw for 300 yards against Missouri, Franks is going to be able to score for Arkansas. They're going to score 21 points, I think, against Alabama. And then LSU, I don't think, playing that offense is not near as scary. I don't know what you do as a coaching staff. You just shut it down after you get a big lead?
Well, they pulled more people this last week than he had all year long.
I'll see you guys. I got to get to work.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Will. Mike, he pulled more players this past week than he has all season long.
I'm just saying. I mean, as a guy that looks at lines, 32 points is a lot of points in Fayetteville.
Yeah, I would think.
I would lean towards Arkansas. Maybe.
I would.
Alabama's just not going to have their starters in.
I would do the same thing. I agree with you wholeheartedly, no question about it.
And Arkansas will probably play one of their best games.
Got a lot better offense than LSU.
Yeah, should be pretty good. Of course, we got it's going to be a good weekend of football, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, if Troy can go in and perhaps beat Louisiana Lafayette, I get up so confused. Coastal Carolina, and then play Louisiana Monroe. What is that? 4 days later or 5 days later? 5 days later.
4 days later, I guess.
Yeah, that they would be playing Louisiana Monroe. The key right now is what is Louisiana Monroe going to do? Are they going to buy out, or are they going to be a man and play the game?
That's interesting. I want to say there'll be talks with Troy's athletic department, their athletic department, the Sun Belt Commissioner. Do they play this game? Do they try to get out of it and just take a forfeit?
If it's not a COVID-19 situation, I think that they must play the game because it's a conference game, and I think they must play the game. If they don't, they ought to think about kicking that bunch out of the conference. But if there's a health issue here, I can understand it.
I think they could be below that threshold of players.
What we're seeing is Louisiana Monroe season would have normally ended, but they had to they added Troy late, and they'll be playing Troy on the 17th on a Thursday night, which would be a fun night for Troy folks. I would love to see the game and play the game, but a lot is going to be determined on what the folks at Louisiana Monroe want to do. They could do several things, and I'm just hoping that they'll do.
They're 0-10. They lost to Army 37-7. They lost to Texas State 38-17. They lost to UTEP 31-6. Somehow they played Georgia Southern 35-30. Georgia Southern must have had a lot of COVID issues. They lost to Liberty 47. Lost to South Alabama 38-14. They lost to Appalachian State 31-13. Lost to Georgia State 52-34. Lost to Louisiana Lafayette 70-20. 70-20.
Yeah.
And then they lost to an Arkansas State team that had only won 3 games this past weekend, 48-15.
Yeah.
You're telling me these guys are going to want to play Troy?
If they love the game of football, if they're a real man, they'll play Troy.
Their coach just got fired.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they gonna want to shut it down. I'm thinking. I sure hope they don't.
I mean, surely that would count as a win, though. A forfeit would count as a win. That would be 6 wins, even though it's a forfeit.
Yeah, and the 23rd is not a bad date, Mike. That tickles me. If Troy could win that game.
That would be the quickest turnaround ever to go play a game.
Yeah.
A bowl game, playing on the 17th and then playing on the 23rd.
Well, that's six days.
I mean, if I was, Troy could focus on the coast of Carolina, but they also, the most important thing is for them to get the 6 wins.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens here. It's very
And another thing, what do you do with this Troy team that's been at home now by themselves, school's out, that, that's a lot of kids, I'm sure, saying to themselves, hey, let's go ahead and call this thing, let me go home and wrap presents.
No, not if you can go to a bowl game.
Well, hopefully that's the case. That'd be the case. But that's been a long time since they've even seen any students on their campus.
Right. It's gonna be.
But I could see Troy having momentum and motivation. I can see them is a concern here. The concern we have is hopefully Louisiana Monroe will do what their contract says and play that game on Thursday night after this game Saturday. So, and of course,
that's what I wish we could have after the season's over. Is find out exactly what these players were able to do during the season.
Yeah.
How they went to class. How they
been good that the students were not in. You know, you're right. I'll tell you
what, whoever in Alabama, I'm sure they got about 2 guys in charge of Mac Jones, whatever he's got, and all these other great players, Najee Harrison, Devontae Smith. They probably have everybody catering to every need. Because I tell you what, Alabama does not want to lose Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryce Young is just not ready to do it yet.
I don't think so either. But you know what?
Can you imagine having a COVID issue with Mac Jones before the championship game or the playoff games?
Yeah, exactly right. No question about it. Now, let me tell you something else. One other thing, and Mike has heard me say this before. Overall, over the years, one of the toughest games each year Troy had to face was Louisiana Monroe. Monroe has always played Troy tough. You remember that, Mike?
Oh, yeah. I went over there one time when we had one of the best teams we've ever had and got beat in overtime.
Yeah, one time, and how about, 55 or 58-yard field goal hit the crossbar and bounced off. I remember they had losing to them over there.
Yeah.
But, of course, this game will be played in Troy. This is a motivation tank situation for Troy. I mean, they've got everything to look forward to. If win or lose Saturday against Coastal Carolina, the big game will be, as far as bowl implications would be, Troy would play on the 17th of December on a Thursday night at the Vet against Louisiana Monroe. Hopefully that's where everything's going to work out.
Yeah, I guess people probably listen and think we're crazy because we're not talking about the biggest game probably in, I guess, a ranked team in Troy history, I guess, even though it's a team from Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get a lot of exposure.
I guess we don't have a lot of confidence in Troy beating Coastal is what it comes down to.
Well, you know what? Your teams match up differently, and evidently we did not match up well at all against App State. Now, what would you think it'd take? Do you think that
if you can hang in there till half?
Would you think Coastal could run the football against Troy? Do you think they'd be able to run the football and run it successfully against Troy?
I mean, his defense got a lot better, but I mean, like I said, they ran for almost 300 yards against BYU.
Yeah.
And we know how good that BYU front is.
Yeah.
They run a option kind of spread offense. They're a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Coastal. I think that's what makes them so hard to stop.
Yeah. Troy is pretty good against the pass. I think they've got some pretty good athletes in the secondary. You know, if they could get some help up front on the rush guys, the four rush guys, if they could get some help there, we've got good linebacking at Troy. We could have a shot here. We could have a shot. But we got to be able to run the football. We've got to be able to run the football if we can.
Yeah, Troy's got to be able to have more balance.
Mike, did it surprise you that Troy would go with a pure freshman and a redshirt freshman before the season started?
What are you talking about, running back?
Yeah, running backs.
Well, you know, B.J. Smith, they never talked about this, but he was in a car accident.
I didn't know that.
Also, after his knee injury, he had a hip injury, kind of similar to what Tua had. So he also came after that, and you could tell he was just not as fast and as quick and explosive as he used to be. So he's been kind of injured all year, they said.
Yeah. And then the other kid, the
Billingsley,
Billingsley.
get out of Scottsboro, rushed for 1,000 yards last year and fourth string.
Yeah, that's right. And see, now the way the situation is now, you don't have these redshirt situations, or they could have redshirted one or two of those running backs. But right now,
DJ had already been redshirted after last year. You know, he was ready to go.
But every player, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something that we've never faced before, every player that plays on these football teams this year will get a free year of eligibility next year. Is that right?
Yeah.
What are they going to do with all these players?
Basically, if you're a freshman this year, you're a freshman again next year. Now, the coach has the choice if he wants to keep you or not.
Yeah.
He can run you off.
Now, very important. When do we have our first week of signing day? When is signing day? Should be any day now.
It'll be around the 18th, 19th.
18th, 19th, we signed. They signed high school players, and Troy has gotten more commitments than we've ever had. Mike, is that true?
Well, I mean, you got them committed right now. You got to wait and see.
Yeah, and so what do you do with these extra players for us? It's going to cost the school a bunch of money. Think about it.
Well, it's probably like Mike was saying, they have option of keeping them or not.
Yeah,
they
that's
may not.
right.
They may just if they see that the fella coming in is a little bit. Depends on his work ethic and all that kind of stuff. It's just interesting to see. We have no idea. While Mike's looking that up in high school basketball, I was trying to find the Alabama High School Athletic Association basketball rankings, but on Max Prep Sports, Charles Henderson boys are ranked number 1 in 5A.
What? Boys?
With a 7-2 record in Max Prep Sports.
Did you know they were that good? Are
Well,
you sure that's not women?
That's the guys. I couldn't find the women because the women hadn't played them.
I could understand Charles Henson's women, but
now that's Max Prep. It's not the Alabama High School.
But
it's still a prestigious honor, you know, to start the season off with.
That surprises me. But back to this situation on having another signing day. You got one in December and another one in February. But it looks like what you just said is this is going to be a good opportunity to get rid of some players you don't want. Mike, what do you think about that?
Well, some of them's going to opt out. Some of them opt out.
Signing day is December 16th through December the 18th.
Yeah, and that's
and
not this weekend, but next weekend.
You know,
or Tuesday. What it is? It's Tuesday week, isn't it? Today week.
It would basically start on Wednesday and go through Friday of next week.
Okay. So, you know, of course, again, well, it'd be interesting to see what's happening in the recruiting office here at Troy or anywhere else. Is do you want to keep this kid, or can you let him go, or what's the deal?
Well,
and they might want to get rid of. They might.
Max Hall always says they're only 1 year scholarship.
Yeah.
You know, Rivals.com right now it has Alabama number 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, LSU 4, Florida 5, Georgia 6, Clemson 7, Michigan 8th, Southern Cal 9th, and Notre Dame 10th.
That's in recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Tennessee's 12, Texas A&M 16. Missouri's 20, Arkansas's 21.
How about Auburn?
Mississippi State's 28, Vanderbilt's 29th. I hadn't seen it. Kentucky's 40.
Auburn's 39.
All right, well, let me tell you this. He's fixing to get fired. He is going to get fired. If he's 39th in recruiting, he's going to get fired, Mike.
Well, according to Rivals, they're number 53. Of course, that changes. I'm looking at Rivals.com.
Nowhere 2021. In the world should Auburn be that far down the line in recruiting. Somebody's not doing the job, Mike.
Auburn's going to win the football game, man.
Auburn's going to win the football game. War Eagle, hey, you better take a look at what's happening at Auburn. You better War Eagle. If they're 59 and 39 in recruiting, something is wrong. You better take a look at it, or you're going to lose what you got at Auburn as far as quality players.
I think they had a defensive back to opt out this week.
Yeah. War Eagle, and I just wanted to play that song for you, so you better wake up. If that is the case, and we're talking about recruiting, ranking recruiting, unless Auburn already has their numbers or something already, they could be in trouble if they're that far down the list.
Yeah, I'm not.
They got Rodney Gardner. Rodney Gardner will go get about 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah, well, they're going to need to do something. But don't you agree that that's serious business?
Well, it's early. It's early.
Numbers are really high.
I'm stunned. Last year this time they were in the top 10, weren't they?
Yeah, but you know you got February as well. So
yeah, it's be early.
Exactly.
Still early.
But let me tell you this, and I've said this before, and people keep hearing me say this, is that Troy gets an opportunity to get players to commit right now and go ahead and sign those guys now early and the big boys can't come back on them and say, well, let's take this guy now. So it's really helped Troy quite a bit.
You know, Michael was talking last week. He was going over the list. There was one defensive lineman and maybe one offensive lineman that they're getting right now. I mean, we got to have more men
no question
in the
about
trenches. The trenches are the key. Of course, they'll get it solved.
We're going off the air. We hope you've enjoyed our show. You can watch us again today at 1:30. We appreciate you so very much. And, of course, our opinions are just our opinions and not written in stone. But we enjoy coming in your room every morning for Today in L.A. and hope to see you tomorrow.